Press the bell icon on YouTube and don't miss another update.
Have with us Dr. Rajiv Kumar, Niti Aayog Chief. Welcome to the Prince, sir.
Hi.
Great to have you here. If I may start with the main issue that is being discussed today, it's about the rural distress, agriculture problems. Niti Aayog has been doing a lot of work in this area, but what is your take on it? How do we see this issue being resolved?
So, it's not a short-term issue. It's not something that can be resolved by taking some shortcuts and so on. Because as I said earlier, the modernization of Indian agriculture is the challenge for us today, and that includes not just expanding agricultural output, but as you've seen, that only leads to price declines, and therefore doesn't solve the problem. It means taking measures to reduce costs of production, taking measures to improve value addition by growing agro-processing industries, by giving the farmers all the freedom that they need or they can have to sell their goods wherever they can. So, which means abolition of the APMC Act across all the states.
Right.
Then also the fact of removing all export bans, so that people can enter into this industry on the basis of some certainty. Using new technologies to, as I said, lower costs, but also some maybe out of the way box thinking in terms of zero budget natural farming and so on, which should enable the farmer to get away from the paradigm of rising costs, increasing debt, and then higher indebtedness, and therefore which a decline in price puts him in trouble. So that is the longer term thing. But now the question is that the farmer's distress is real and is at the moment there. So what we have to make sure is that mechanisms must be put in place to procure from the farmer as much as we can on the MSPs announced.
Right.
That will be one. So this is where states have to come into action. Now, the central government has announced both the MSPs, but also the policy for procurement, and that the central government stands ready, to meet any costs, that the state governments might incur for higher procurement. But that is what the central government can do. In the sense that the procurement mechanisms on the ground will have to be put there by the state governments, and hopefully they will recognize this and do this and take those steps as necessary.
A lot of people have said just MSP alone is not really working, because we've seen that is there, but in spite of that.
Yeah, but that's exactly what I said.
Yeah.
You announced the MSP, but you also, more than that, I think 3 months ago, the government also announced the 3-pronged procurement policy.
Right.
Right. So now, all that has been done, but that procurement policy has to be implemented at the state level by state agencies, and including NABARD and FCI and so on. Now that's where I suppose we need to, look at it more carefully, work with the state governments, but that is where the center would have to use its power of persuasion much more than any legislation or ordinance or so on, and that is something which I suppose needs to be looked at.
So, if I may come to loan waiver, we've seen BJP government doing it. We've seen that happen in Uttar Pradesh. Now, of course, the Congress has come into power in the states, and they've already announced that the loan waiver packages is going to be announced very soon. Now, this actually dents the economy. What is your view on this?
This is where I am. Loan waiver is not the solution, right? Because that's clear. That and the solutions are what I referred to earlier. But if there is a genuine farmers' distress, if there is a large segment of farmers who have gotten into the trap of rising costs and rising prices and rising indebtedness,
Yes.
then you have to address it. And I suppose loan waiver is perhaps the only way that an elected government has to meet those demands. So whatever be the fiscal consequences of that,
Yes.
we have to understand that this is a particular step which is the only palliative at any point of time. So to repeat myself, I don't think it's a solution. It has its fiscal costs, but at any point of time, if it is seen that the farmer's distress, which means the distress of a large segment of our population, is genuine, then you may have to take this measure to just get over that.
You have always supported the demonetization drive. You said that was extremely important to sort of, clear up our system. But at the same time, in a book that was recently launched, the former CEA, Dr. Subramaniam, said that it was a draconian move. Would you like to comment on that?
No, I really don't want to comment on this because I think enough has been said on this. The only thing that I wanted to say was that his use of the word, I think populist, is that the word he used? It was not intended to hurt the elite. That is what he had said.
Yeah.
That is to hurt the elite to become and to be a populist. Not at all. I think the objective of the measure was to attack the corrupt and the ill-gotten wealth.
Right.
And I've always supported it for that reason. That I have said that for me it is in some sense a big moral victory for pushing back a culture of complete unaccountability. And the fact that you could flaunt your ill-gotten wealth as you could without any consequences. So I think demonetization has surely given that a pushback.
Right.
And to that extent, I supported it then and I support it now. And the argument, by the way, that it has not hurt the black money and it's all come back is completely wrong. Because all that money which is hidden under the pillows and mattresses and wherever has now at least come into the banking sector.
It's become
part of the formal economy. So now you can keep an eye on it. You know where it is. And some of it would be be taxed. So the success of demonetization could not be and cannot be measured only in terms of having had bonfires of currency and currency being thrown into the streams and rivers, which is what I suppose some people are measuring it at. No, not at all. It's a matter of having made it more accountable, one, and two, taking some step to improve the moral fiber of the society.
One last question, sir, on RBI. You have said that the credit demand has gone down because of RBI's measures. Now, we've seen in the last few weeks, in fact from October onwards, there's been a unprecedented spat which we've seen between the government and the RBI. And now, of course, Mr. Shaktikant Das has taken over as governor. Do you see things improving, and do you see lending being, sort of made easier for companies, for SMEs, for other sectors, crucial sectors?
See, my issue had always been about the inability of the NBFCs to lend, especially after the IL&FS crisis. NBFCs had taken the place of all the commercial banks in extending credit to the retail borrower, to the house owner, to the house buyer, and to all the small entrepreneurs.
Right.
I mean, NBFC credit quadrupled in the last 5 years. Now, this sector, therefore, serves a very important purpose, and role, and which has been completely squeezed since September, and it is being forced to shrink its balance sheet, and therefore the credit availability to small and medium enterprises, and also to the retail borrower, those who has just gone down significantly, which affects demand and therefore which affects industry. So my take has been, and I have recommended this, that RBI, as it did in 2009, should have opened the window for making all the necessary liquidity available to NBFCs so that they could roll over their credit and did not have to face the pressure from commercial banks and mutual funds to shrink their balance sheets. And I still hold that view, that this should be done, and the sooner it is done, the better.
So now, do you think with Mr. Das taking over?
I hope so. I hope so. I mean, he's had a long experience in the North Block. He's been a finance man ever since, and he's a very I know that he's a very good team member. So I'm sure these concerns he will take these concerns on board, and let us see. I'm hoping that these measures will be announced sooner rather than later.
Right. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank
it was
you.
a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks
Thank you so much.